here at Esko booth. I mean, Esko is probably one of the leading software companies in the printing industry, and I was amazed because I got to my information just a few moments ago that's 1,800 employees in this amazing company. One of them is Frank, and Frank is going to show me some really interesting software here. It was called Digital Print Simulation.
Digital print simulation, yes, that's what we
So,
call it.
I mean, why just you could just make a print, right?
That's what it's all about. Just printing something. In packaging, you want to reach the right colors, which is a challenge if you print digitally, because the digital press has different colors to use than the ones that are used in your design. So there's a color conversion. And
To different devices, simply?
to
or-
different device, yeah.
Okay.
So you would like to understand what's going to be the damage or the changes in the color if I print that job. Normally built up in spot colors, but you're going to print it with the inks that the press has.
I have a question before we're going to see a demo, because you know the bells and whistles from the print manufacturers is always that we have ISO and FOGRA and G7. I thought that was managing all the color things.
It does it for the biggest part well for what we call process colors, so CMYK. But when it goes into spot colors,
Different
that's
game.
a different game.
But when you talk about digital print, most digital printers are not spot colors. So is it because you then think about how they simulate the PMS colors, for example, or?
Yes, and the designs that are created normally use spot colors. I mean, Pantone, everybody likes to communicate color in a standard way, so Pantone inks are used. But what will these Pantone inks look like when we print them digitally?
And as you're the owner of Pantone, you should know better than most, right?
Yes, so we are in this tool, we're using the spectral information that we have about not only the Pantone inks, basically over any ink that we've measured, and we can see the damage to that color or even to that object that is using that color if I would print it digitally.
And what kind of customers? Is that typically the packaging customer, or is it on the designer side that use this software?
The users are dominantly within the what we call the converter and printer space.
Yeah.
So you receive a design, you are responsible for printing it color correctly. So you want to also choose the right process. You can have an expensive process using all the inks that machine can print, but that would slow down the machine a bit, and you have to pay for all the inks that you lay down. So you are interested in an economical alternative. How can I produce the certain design at minimum cost, maximum speed, but still match the colors?
So does that mean, let's say that now we have a design on the screen, would that mean that, let's say that it changes on a certain press to something differently, and you can see that it doesn't comply to the, let's say, agreed color standard, would you then be able to adjust it pre-press, or is that back to the pre-press department?
It's hard for somebody in pre-press to change a color expectation of a customer, but you can choose the right recipe to produce that job. So if you have a very color sensitive customer, you want to provide him with a very accurate color representation, and the accuracy is expressed in what we call delta E. So it's the difference between the color that is expected and the color that the press can deliver.
So let's dive into it. So the digital print simulation is, you just started that, you basically have, here is what we see. What is it we see here?
Yeah, so the intention here is to help the user to understand what is the color deviation I can expect when using a certain recipe, so a certain strategy on my printing press. And of course, if I use all 7 colors of that press, I will have a very accurate color representation, a remake of the color, but I'm not very economical. So my target is to choose the right recipe to drive my equipment. So we call this the digital print simulation. And as you see here, I would allow a deviation of a delta E of 3. This is still hard to see. Color deviation between the color expectation and what I can print, delta E of 3 is very, very little.
Is that also if you have like 2 identical products where you see, let's say delta 3, you will still have difficulty seeing it, or?
you have difficulties to see a difference in color. Yeah. For you would say, if you see that in shop, oh, that's the same. Okay. At actually,
so sometimes when brand owners complain about very, very small deviations on an offset press or digital press, it is maybe just because it can be measured, but not something that necessarily can be seen.
Yes, correctly, yeah. But that's actually what you would like to get out of the way.
Which is why you have this.
Why you have a number, eh?
Yeah,
so you can agree on a number.
Yeah.
And I'm just simulating. We agreed on a number of 3, so our customer would be happy if the reproduced colors would be in a range of delta of 3. And with the strategy of using all 7 colors that I've selected here, there will be no color deviation.
Okay, so now what you see on the screen, that is the deviation you would see. So if you change things, you could see that on the design
That would
basic.
be the next step. If I choose a strategy using less inks, making my machine faster, so allowing me to produce more efficiently and more economically, we will show if there is a change in color. If you're not printing the OGV, you only stick to the CMYK. And again, no, this job, I see no highlighted areas, is perfectly reproducible in the CMYK or using the CMYK inks of my machine. Then we would like to go the final step, but if I turn off my black, could I still reproduce that job? Making even a faster machine without lay down of black, so I'm just using CMY. And indeed, this job will not allow me to print without color deviation.
Because you have deviation on the barcode and a little bit on the melon.
Yes, probably before the barcode, I am okay with any black. I just have a lay down of black. Actually, I probably don't want more colors, but there is some image content here. Yeah. And if we turn the overlay off, it's going to be the dark brown in my semen here. Yeah. That will probably not reach the color. But imagine this color deviation of 3.0 is only within those little pieces.
Maybe you could live with it.
You
right?
probably still want to print this job. If I would increase my tolerance, I can see they are off with a delta E of 3.8. So I can make now a conscious decision about if I can print this job digitally or not.
That's really smart.
Based on the design, not just on a list of inks and the conversion of such inks. Yeah,
that's amazing, right? And that is, of course, something that has a lot of high value for both the brand owner and for the converter, right? Because you can basically see here what to expect.
I see what to expect, so I can deliver the right quality to my customer, but I can also choose the right way to process this job for my company to make money.
And if we look at Esko, you also, part of your family is also the AVT, that is the camera systems, right?
Yeah, correct.
So basically that means that, okay, let's say that we accept color deviation of the 3.8 gamma, right? And we print this, the AVT basically measures that it's actually what the press delivers, right?
They can pick up that tolerance in a profile and really indicate that if anything goes out of the tolerance when really producing this job.
But when you do this, like you do this, will that be, because you said that it was like a standard PDF viewer that you were using here. So this is a plug-in that you supply, or?
No, it's part of all the editions of APRO Plus that we sell. So the digital print simulation is just a basic functionality. You need to be connected to your color system of your DFE, but that's all. Then you can use that view mode.
That is a product that everybody should use, right?
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, and is there any competition when we look at the market like this, or?
With this feature, no, we are heading with this feature.
So now everybody should buy it, right? That's what you say. Is that something when you have like a customer that is already using Esko, this is like an add-on you pay for, or is it something that is?
No, okay. It's part of the basic applications that many of our customers are using. We have a huge installed base of our graphic editors. APRO Plus is one of those. So with this edition, it can be any type. They can now do this control.
I was thinking when I see something like this, I was thinking that the ROI for a converter should be, I don't know the price of course, but I was just thinking that it should be relatively fast, because here, as you said, you basically agree with the customer in advance what to expect and what kind of delta to accept, and then basically you would eliminate a lot of discussions that is based on emotion or based on wrong measures or less knowledge. For
the success of digital presses brings a challenge along. If you implement such a press, it has its own color world, which is not the case when you print conventionally, or if you come from a conventional area. So here, with the first time, we really indicate where are the problematic zones from a color perspective if you reproduce or print this job.
Fantastic. Frank, it was great to see
It was
you.
a pleasure.
This
Thank
is
you very much.
Fantastic software.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah. And now a few more people knows.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
thank you very much for that.
Thank you.